guess I get most of the credit for stopping the bill last time. I'm very anxious that we have a full development of the oil fields in Ohio. I'm very anxious that that happen in conjunction with good regulation. Very frankly, Ohio has a very long and not good history of orphan wells across the state, which are leaking into the subsurface water supply system. So we have to put this thing together, in my opinion, gradually and carefully. I think the governor's original proposal and discussion would indicate that we would not get the kind of penetration of the oil fields by people doing the exploratory work that we need to have. They would be discouraged from being here. A number of oil companies have left the state, and that's perfectly natural because of how they operate. But I myself would hope that we're working with the Department of Taxation, with the governor's office on the legislation that my Speaker Pro Tem introduced, Representative Huffman of Allen County. Allen County was one of those first counties in the state to have oil well exploration. There was a person who'd gone down there from Cleveland, John D. Rockefeller, and he started that exploration in that area. They have orphan wells also. So I'm anxious that we do this gradually in the right way, and that we do not discourage people coming into the state to do the exploration, because that would be something that would have long-term negative impact. So I think that's where we are. Obviously, Representative Huffman is meeting with the governor's people from any level, usually twice a week at this time.
I wanted to go ahead. Do you want to speak on that?
Sure. Well, I'm hoping when we deal with the mid-biennium budget that we do readdress that and address it progressively, because comparatively we are significantly lagging behind in the tax revenue that other states are achieving who have these activities underway. I don't have any fear of industries or companies going away and not coming back, as long as that resource is there. Once we have our regulations and our tax structure established, they will be here because there is an opportunity. My primary concern is to make sure that that resource is of benefit to the state of Ohio in terms of revenue, and to those individual property owners in terms of the agreements that they're making with those oil companies. And there is some regulation and standardization because there are people who are doing very well independently, and there are people who are obviously being exploited, and that's just not acceptable.
And I agree with Leader Hurd that, we can't wait around for this. I mean, I think that, the oil and gas companies aren't waiting around to drill, and we can't wait around to get a reasonable severance tax. Living in Mahoning County, in Mahoning and Columbiana County, this is big business. And so with that business, you see a lot of good things, but you also see things that we need to improve upon. I mean, we need to get a severance tax so we can use that money to invest into training so that we have Ohioans working there and not folks from all over the country. It's good to have those people there for hotels, for grocery stores, for restaurants, but we need to have our people working these jobs as careers. And so we need to use that severance tax money to invest. We need to fix the roads with that. We need to improve the schools with that. If we're going to take away, if we're going to give everybody the cuts with the income tax, then we need to find a revenue stream, and I think that this is one that we can really utilize, and we need to do it now.
I think it's important for us to reflect on what happened in the 60s in Morrill County before we get too excited about having this explosion of activity in the discovery area. First of all, we do have a number of companies that have left the state. Secondly, in Morrill County, before we had the proper regulation, that we had interlocking drilling rigs. That is, the legs coming down interlocked. And obviously also, we burned up one heck of a lot of natural gas, flared it up into the air, wasted it. And if we don't do this regulation right, as opposed to quickly, we're going to pay a price.
Certainly, I think the severance tax issue, we've got Senators Peterson and Balderson working on this issue as part of our overall tax reform issue. We want to make sure, as the Speaker said, we get it done right. But we also want to make sure that we utilize this resource for Ohio. At the same time, we want to do it in a way that doesn't distract the drilling. I'm confident now that the industry is starting to mature to a point where we don't run that risk of chasing people away. We just had recent reports of Ohio's #2 driller actually liquidating resources in other areas to commit more resources to Ohio. They're doing that not because they think it's bad for their business, obviously. They're doing it because they think it makes sense long-term for their company. And so I think the industry is maturing, and now is the time to have that discussion in a holistic way. And with the House and the Senate's going to be actively engaged in that discussion, and I look forward to having some resolution to this issue, preferably in the EBR.